welcome back to BATMONTH. And I know whenever there's a new reboot of any property, there's going to be a couple of people who aren't going to be very happy about it. Some people are going to hate the movie before it's even out. Some people are going to love the movie before it's even out, which is strange. But going back to Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I wasn't the biggest fan of that movie, but one thing that movie did bring in is tons and tons of new Indiana Jones merch. So one thing you gotta admit about the new movie, The Batman, starring the Battinson, is that I'm seeing more cool Batman merch at my local Walmart and Toys R Us than I have seen in years, really. It really does feel like the 89 Burton Batman phenomenon again. Dark Knight and Batman Begins were great movies, but I didn't see that much cool merch at the toy stores at the time. So taking a look at some of the new DC Universe, these are 7-inch, I believe, figures. Also going to take a look at this one. Talk about new cool Batman stuff showing up. Batman the Animated Series, or rather the Adventures Continue. Animated Batman, going to take a look at that one in a different video. But today, I'm going to be taking a look. I picked up Battinson and Bruce Wayne. Batman and Bruce Wayne. And I had seen them at the Toys R Us in my town a couple of times, and I passed on them. The reason I decided to grab them is because of this thing just showed up, and that was the deal, not deal breaker, deal maker, I guess. I really wanted to see what both Bruce Wayne and the Batman would look like on this thing. There are some other figures in this line as well. Saw those today as well. Bruce Wayne rides just a regular motorcycle, but I want to check out what he looks like on the Batcycle as well. And I saw some of the other figures today. There was the Riddler, amazing in the movie. And they also had the Penguin, still can't believe that's Colin Farrell, and Catwoman as well. So those all look cool, but these are the only two I wanted to get. And let's take a look at the figures, and then we'll take a look at the Batcycle. Looks like each figure comes with is that a trading card? It's one of the Batman and one of Bruce Wayne on his bike. And each one also comes with a stand. So I've cut one of them out. I think you're definitely going to need these. The actual quality of the figure feels very similar, even though this is a McFarlane figure. This definitely doesn't feel like the old movie Maniacs from the original McFarlane figures. They feel more like classified figures. It's kind of like a gummy plastic, and similar to classified figures in the sense that it can be a little tough to get them to pose. Now, classified figures are a little easier because they're just more posable. The joints work a little bit better, so you can get them kind of into a crouching pose. But he's got, like, it's very baggy. It's the baggiest Bruce Wayne we've ever seen. Baggy jacket, baggy pants, and it's hindering the posability a little bit. The knee feels a little stuck, and this is just straight out of the package. Living dangerously here. Yeah, that's moving. So, yeah, kind of like a classified figure. If you can get him to get into a bit of a dynamic pose, you've got a little more hope to make him stand, but your best bet is just to pop that leg on the stand, and whoa, it's still a little tricky getting him to balance. Whoa, that's that I would say that's not typical of a 6 or 7-inch figure. Even with a stand on his foot, he's a lot floppier and harder to balance as far as the Bruce Wayne figure goes. It does come with one accessory, so it's a backpack, which he wears in the movie. Pretty floppy material here. Shouldn't be too hard to just slip it on his back. He reminds me so much of Sam Flynn in this movie. Just a darker, more broken version of Sam Flynn, but kind of the same thing. I would picture Sam Flynn riding on a motorcycle with a backpack, even though he's the son of a billionaire. I think that backpack adds a lot to the look. So this Bruce Wayne is the first Bruce Wayne to actually have that black eyeliner or makeup. All the other Batman, even though their eyes were darkened around their masks, when they pull the mask off, magically there's no dark makeup because it's supposed to just be movie magic. This Bruce Wayne actually does it in the movie, does the makeup around his eyes in order to darken his eyes, maybe hide his identity more, make his eyes more terrifying looking. So when he pulls the mask off, some people call it goth or emo, especially with the hair hanging in his face, but I like it. I never thought he was emo, and if I can pontificate for a minute, here's why. Emo is definitely Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3. There's some other emo characters that I can't really think of at the moment, but when I think of emo, I think of fashion. Emo is when goth is chosen as a fashion. This guy doesn't seem emo to me because his injury is real. His pain is real. So his fashion sense, his visage is real pain. It's real trauma. And this isn't a fashion choice. I'll give you two examples of guys, one fictional, one real, who dressed dark, dressed in black, but I didn't think they were emo. Eric Draven, the Crow, is one. True pain, true trauma. And I've never looked at, even though a lot of people call him goth, I guess it's goth, but I've never thought of Eric Draven as emo because his trauma and pain is 100% real. And the other one that comes to mind is the Man in Black, Johnny Cash. Always dressed in black, way ahead of his time in that sense. He was one of the first to dress in all black, and he actually sang a song about why he was the Man in Black. And same deal. It was the weight that he carried. It was the pain. So this Bruce Wayne in the movie pulls it off for me. He doesn't come off as kind of a whiny emo kid to me. He comes off as a really injured person using, I mean, it's the age-old story of Batman, but I thought they pulled it off fantastic. And as far as Bruce Wayne figures go, it's a refreshing change, not in the wobbliness, but in the lack of a suit, tuxedo, the smarminess. It's a completely different Bruce Wayne from what I'm used to. I don't read most of the Batman comics, so this is completely new to me. He's got his hands taped up, or he's got gloves on. Like, are these the gloves he wears underneath the Batman suit? Are we seeing some remnants of the Batman suit underneath there? It's interesting, kind of like how Spider-Man and Superman have their suits underneath. Is the Bat suit actually underneath this big baggy suit? I think that's kind of cool. I mean, yeah, there's something poking out underneath there. Is that the Bat cape? We'll pull the other one out, and it's not really the same thing, but I like the idea that Bruce Wayne is hiding the Batman outfit underneath there. Poseability, don't expect much. I haven't even played him with him very much, but I can tell his arms are fine. Shoulder range is actually great. Elbow bend, if they're not frozen. Yeah, they're pretty tough, but wow, that's fantastic. That's a lot more than I was expecting, and that's great for motorcycle riding. You need those elbows to bend if you're going to ride a motorcycle. You're also going to need wrists that are going to move, because wrists that are stuck or break when you move them, it's not a good thing. This elbow's moving a little bit better. And his wrists have some actual nice multi-range on them. They both twist and they go in and out, up and down. It's pretty nice head movement. When I was talking about the bat pod, I mentioned how important it is to be able to look up. Yeah, a little bit. We'll see if that's enough. Might not be. And it does have a waist twist. I really dig whatever's sticking out from under there. I like that part of the sculpt. The legs are weird. So there's a cut here for the thigh swivel, but if you move it at all, it becomes misaligned and you get this weirdness right here. So you're pretty much stuck, even though it's in there. Maybe that'll help for when he's on the bike to get his feet into position. And the knees do bend, whoa, quite a bit. It's like ratchet joints almost in there. It's so stiff. Feet have a little bit, man, a little too loose. For a floppy figure, you want tighter ankles, but they flop around a bit, and then the toes bend a little bit in theory. So that is Bruce Wayne, and I didn't break him, so that's a bonus. And here's a 360 of old Bruce. And the other figure is the Batman. And I think he looks fantastic, but I wasn't sure if I wanted another Batman figure to just stand there. And much like Bruce, he has no chance whatsoever of standing on his own. He's going to need a stand in order to help balance him. I mean, look at that. He just really wants to either be too far forward, too far back. This is why the Batcycle was a real selling point for me, because I'm going to be having him just displayed on the Batcycle. It's tough. There's some classified figures that are like that too, just tough to have them standing up straight. So he's kind of got the backland posture, the chest out, the back is a little too straight. This hand is interesting. He's got like a hole in his hand for some reason. Now, his belt has this little loop on it, which I think this little knob is supposed to plug in there for easy storage. And because it's got like a mushroom peg on it, it'll stay on there. It's not going to fall off. So how does this work? Does it plug like that? I guess it does. Oh. Okay. Oh, I get it now. That's actually really cool. That's supposed to be like kind of shooting out from his wrist. It's like a concealed thing, right? Comes out of his wrist, hidden. So I thought that's a really weird hand to have. It's basically stuck in a chopping hand. But I don't think I've ever seen that before, like a concealed pose hand, having it just shoot out of his sleeve. That's really cool. The movie for me was all about fresh takes, new ideas that I hadn't seen in other Batman movies, so that's really cool to see something completely new in a figure too. I love these. These remind me so much of Wesley Snipes' blade. These, whatever they are, spikes on his forearm, both of them. So cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with any extra hands, neither does Bruce. So I guess the other hand can, I don't even know what this is. Is it a grappling hook or is it the taser? I guess it's a taser, or it can be whatever you want it to be, I guess. So yeah, you can kind of hold it in the other hand too, like that. Now, if you're gonna have him ride the Batcycle, I don't know how that's gonna look. Having one hand completely open. I'm noticing some funkiness here in the shoulder pad. This shoulder pad moves to allow for range in his shoulder. It's getting caught on the cape when you're trying to move it back. And it kind of bunches up when you try and move the arm forward. So a bit of tucking there, but it's not bad. Let's pop that back on. I'm glad that that stays on there so securely. Once that's on there and the mushroom peg is popped through, it's not going anywhere. Oh, look at that. That's a cool joint too. I don't know if Bruce had that. Let's go back and check. Well, sort of, not so much. This whole jacket thing is really limiting all of his articulation, but Batman's got a little bit more range. That is wild how that works. That's cool. Tons of range in the elbow. Look at that. That's also important for Batcycle riding. Tons of range in the wrist, more than humanly possible. He's got an ab crunch that isn't annoying. I've seen so many figures have an ab crunch and it's completely useless and too loose, and it's more of a detriment than adding to the figure. These gauntlet blades are super floppy, so it's, I guess, nice that they won't break on you, but they won't look straight and sharp either. It's almost like tassels, like Macho Man tassels, almost. Now the suit might look black on camera. It's gray. It's a dark gray, and that's the whole suit there. The gloves appear black. The boots appear black. Knee pads are same dark gray. The belt is such an important staple of any Batman outfit. All the Bat gadgets. They decided to go all black this time. So not even bronze or dark gold like on the Dark Knight outfit. Just completely black. Cape is great. It's got a beautiful smell to it too. Nice and floppy. Perfect material for a cape. Nice flowing detail in it. Move it around. You won't give it any stress marks from moving it around. Floppy enough that as you're moving it, it feels like it's like a big vinyl Batman cape. Sometimes they're too rigid. And, you know, cape should be able to move somewhat if it's not going to be soft goods. And double knee bend. Cape gets in the way a little bit, but look at that. Outstanding. Great soccer kick. The foot can go up a little bit. That he's got hyperextended knee joints. So not completely up, King Leonidas style, but it can sort of get up there. It's kind of floppy, kind of precarious. It's got those loose, not quite as loose as Bruce ankles. And then look at how bendy that is. Wow, that's like a Spider-Man toe right there. That's like a broken foot right there. That's too much. You would think it would stop right there, but it just keeps on going. That's too much. I wonder if the other one does that. Yep, the other one does the same thing. It's like he's broken his foot kicking the new Batmobile or something. And here's a 360 of the Batman before we open up the Batcycle. One thing to watch for if you're going to pick up one of these, take close note of the ears, the bat horns. A lot of them are bent in package, and I don't know if they're going to be permanent like that. I picked one of the few actually that wasn't bent. Both of the horns were just pointing up correctly. So just keep an eye on that. The Batcycle, like the figures, comes with a card. Yep, that is a card there. And I guess they were thinking ahead. They included an extra hand. So you can swap out that chopping hand. Now, that sucks for the people who really dislike this chopping hand or straight out hand and want this hand just on their figure, even apart from the Batcycle. So I feel for you. That does suck. I'm pleasantly surprised that this was included though, so that you can swap that out. We'll see how well that goes. Hopefully there's no breakage there. And a stand, and a really discreet looking stand too. Doesn't look like this is going to be like a flight stand or anything like that. Guess it just goes on the bottom there and steadies the Batcycle. It's not too obtrusive. That's quite nice. And here's a 360 of the gorgeous Batcycle. I keep wanting to call it the Batpod, but it is the Batcycle. It definitely looks more like a motorcycle than the Batpod. If you think that headlight glows in the dark, it's certainly that color, but it does not glow in the dark. I just tried. But there's some really beautiful detail in this thing. The tires feel kind of rubbery. Some really beautiful paint application down there. It looks like it's been used. It's seen a little bit of road wear. It's really impressive. It looks more like one of those Harley Davidson miniature motorcycles than like a McFarlane toy. The reason I wanted to get this Batcycle, and I immediately picked up these two figures when I saw the Batcycle, was I like to get toys that have some kind of meaning to me. And that is not necessarily a toy that has many, many years of meaning. Sometimes if I watch a brand new movie and there is a scene that I really like, if I really love the movie and then there's a particular scene that I really love, I'd love to have a representation of that scene. And I should be focusing on this so that I don't break it. That is not coming out all that nicely. Oh, there we go. Almost knocked my microphone over, but it did come out, and there is a giant peg in there. It is humongous. That is a lot bigger than typically what I see for this size of figure. All right, let's see how much of a struggle swapping the hand is. It'd be such a shame if I broke this after being so pleasantly surprised that they included an extra hand. Living Dangerously. There we go. Wow, nice pop in there too. It's in there, it's secure. I'm testing this a lot more than I normally would, just for the purpose of the review, because I want to show you the limits of it. And by the way, the Batman figure, amazing. The head goes straight up, perfect for riding on the Batcycle. I didn't mention this earlier either, but I love the collar that they gave on the cape. Kind of makes it look like a trench coat. Gives him a detective gumshoe style of look. The batarangs, or whatever they are, don't appear to come off on this guy. They're permanently stuck on there. In the movie, they actually come off as weapons, but unfortunately, I don't believe that they come out. I wouldn't want to pry them out and then find out, nope, they're not supposed to come out. Well, the important thing is, how well does he fit on the Batcycle? And getting back to what I was saying earlier, so I love the Batman movie, and I love the finale. And the finale is Batman. Spoilers. It's not really a plot spoiler, but he's on the Batcycle at the end of the movie. And it's an important scene. It's not just a cool scene of Batman on a Batcycle. It's an important scene about Batman making a choice, choosing his destiny. And I thought it was beautifully shot, beautifully filmed, beautifully edited, acted, everything. That image really stuck with me. Batman on the Batcycle, riding to where he was riding to. And I thought, Man, if I could have one representation of this movie, it would be Batman in that amazing Batmobile. But if I could have a second one, and that Batmobile hasn't shown up yet, I would love Batman on the Batcycle. So, futzing around here, trying to get the hands on the handles. It's actually not that difficult. It seems like it's going to be a braking hazard, but the one I just literally pushed it down and it popped on. See if I can get it to do the same thing on this side. There we go. That's on there. Nice and secure. Put the stand on down there. I love that it's a working steering. You can actually move the front wheel by moving that around. Kind of move your whole figure with it, but I think that's cool. Now the other trick is getting the legs to go where they should be going. Luckily he has those double jointed knees, and this is where those superposable toes really come in handy. You can just slip the foot in there and then bend the toes up so that they're hitting that thing, or you can do whatever you want. You can slip the boot in between there. So there is enough range in the figure to sit atop the Batcycle fairly properly. It looks like the seat is back here, so I'm going to see if I can actually move the figure back a little bit. So it is a little tricky to get him to sit properly on it because of the lack of range in the legs. So I'm guessing Bruce is going to be even more difficult. The nice thing about the arms is that they're so posable. You just get the hands on the handles and then push in the elbows and he can kind of sink into it, and then he's got enough posability in his head that he can look up fairly well, and your only problem is the legs just kind of want to splay out on the sides. So he doesn't fit on the cycle as well as, say, that Mafex Dark Knight figure that I just looked at on the Batpod. But on the positive side, this guy's not a disaster piece. He doesn't fall apart at the slightest touch like that 2.0 Dark Knight figure. And just a heads up about that Mafex figure. Version 3.0 of that figure is coming out, and I hear in the comments that they've gotten a lot better over the years. They're not as floppy and the limbs don't pop out as much, so hopefully the 3.0 figure is a lot better than the 2.0 one I have. And here's a 360 of Batman on the Batcycle. I like that the color scheme of it is very similar to the Batpod, my favorite Bat ride, so really like that it harkens back to the Batpod so much. The wheels are kind of similar, but at the same time, this part right here is a very Batman. It would fit right in with 66 Batman. You can lean it. The stand is really good on it, so you can kind of have him sink from one side to the other. That's a very unique stand because of the curvature in it. That's really cool. Being able to lean into it. It almost looks like he's gonna fall right over, but can really get into those corner turns. He's ready for the TT in the Isle of Man. That's super cool. That's so much better than just having the bike upright and riding. And it's not quite the same scale, but here is Dark Knight Batman on the Batpod with Batman on the Batcycle. I like them both. This one's still my favorite. Love the Batpod, but I think the design of this Batcycle is fantastic. It's a wonderful blending of classic Batman and the newest Batman. And if you're curious what Bruce Wayne looks like on the Batcycle, he can barely hang on to it. It's almost like this thing. He's too much power for him. These legs, forget it. They're too bulky. Yeah, you can you can get them down there. They're just so bulky, way bulkier than the Batman legs. If you can get one on there, you can't really get the second one on there. It kind of looks like he's standing up on the bike. There's just too much bulk in the pants. That didn't sound right. And the head just does not look up enough. He's got that major problem that so many figures have whenever they're trying to ride a motorcycle. He's just looking straight down. So in terms of Bruce riding the Batcycle, which kind of I wanted to do and have the Batman just standing beside him, this sucks. It doesn't work at all. And what it also shows me is I don't think he'll look any better on like a regular motorcycle, like the one that's pictured on his card. His pants are just too bulky. He's looking straight down, so I don't know. I guess I'll just have Bruce in the background. Just wish the legs fit a little bit better on the cycle. Is it the definitive The Batman on the Batcycle? Absolutely not. I'm sure there's going to be much better versions coming out over the years. Maybe Mafax, maybe Hot Toys. But it's definitely going to be the most affordable right there in my own toy store. $30 Canadian for these McFarlane figures. Marvel Legends have shot up $10. They're $40 each now, so it's nice to be able to get a figure that is still at the old $30 price range, and no shipping too, just picking it up right there in store. So that's saving a lot of money instead of ordering something from overseas and paying a lot of shipping for it. So it's nice to have a Batman on a Batcycle. Like I said, I really love that scene, and it's cool to have that scene here, but in terms of like a masterpiece version of it, as bad as this figure is, once you get him on there and he's posed and you don't move him, this is incredible. I've had this for a long time, and I just love how it looks, and I don't want to get rid of it. I just think it looks fantastic. It's a perfect representation of one of my favorite scenes in that movie. This particular figure, time will tell. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if I either sell this thing or give it away in a couple of, I don't know, weeks or months or years, because it's okay. I really do like this part. That's so unique. Being able to do like a, what is it called, a hairpin turn like that. The Bruce Wayne is a Bruce Wayne. You can't really do anything with him. I was hoping you could even bend the elbows so much that he could grab the straps. I don't think he can do that though. There's not quite enough range in the elbows. That'd be cool if he can kind of grab his straps, kind of like Luke Skywalker did with his backpack. But this figure just can't do anything other than stand there. So, kind of boring. All he's really good for is standing kind of in the background, you know, the alter ego of Batman, which isn't really much of an alter ego. He's not in the movie much, and when he is, he's basically Batman. Bruce Wayne in the movie is just basically Batman without the cowl. Very similar character, so it's kind of redundant. At this scale, it's taking up a lot more space than 4-inch figures do, so you get more detail, you get less space, you don't really get much stability. It's kind of a mixed bag, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. And before I sign off, I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who is supporting the channel and has supported the channel for years on Patreon. Thank you very much, Patreon tribe. If you too would like to contribute to the channel, check out patreon.com/MichaelMercy. Or another way to support is by hitting the join button on the channel and joining the channel panel, which will unlock some extras and special emojis and those badges that you sometimes see people have, Sergeant badge and Corporal badge, the orange and blue badges. Those are also channel member badges. So thank you to the channel members supporting the channel as well. And thank you out there for watching. Hope Hope you're enjoying BATMONTH. Until next time, Batmastay.